It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a very nice Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee from our digs at the Ford Ice Center. Welcome in. We got a good show for you today. We will reunite with an old friend, John McClain, around 3:20 this afternoon. That guarantees that it will be interesting. Let's, I guess, get this show on the road right off the bat. We do it every day with Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial her up, 615-969-4350. This is Terry McCormick, TitanInsider.com, Main Street Media. Terry, how are you?
Doing well, George. How are you?
I'm good. We were talking about this earlier. I'm guessing that the Titans will do some sort of moment of silence on Sunday in honor of Frank.
Yeah, I haven't heard any confirmation of that, but I'm almost certain that will be done. Probably, maybe even a video, tribute. I think any of those things would be more than fitting for a guy who gave so many years to this organization, both as a player and a broadcaster.
Amen. Tell me what's going on out there.
Well, Christian Fulton, his time as a Titan might be over because they placed him on injured reserve with the hamstring, and it actually kind of caught him by surprise, he said, because he was working, trying to get back before the season ended. But now that he's gone on IR, he's going to miss the final 4 games of the year, and he's a free agent in March. So the last remaining member of the Titans 2020 draft class appears to be headed out the door, George.
It's kind of a dirty business, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, but, Fulton's had his ups and downs. He's had battles with injuries. He's played inconsistently at times. And I think a fresh start for him and a fresh start for the Titans might be best for both parties.
So, Terry, is there a corresponding move to that?
Yes, absolutely there is. And I have to call the names up here. They also placed defensive lineman Kyle Pecco on IR with a calf injury that he sustained in the Monday night win at Miami. The guys who have been brought in to replace them are Quentin Bohanna, a defensive lineman who comes
from
over
Kentucky.
from the Detroit Lions practice squad, and Keandre Coburn, who joins them from the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Both those guys are defensive linemen.
Am I right about that, Bohanna or Bohanna?
Yes, he's also, I think,
Kentucky?
from Memphis. If I'm correct,
Okay.
He's from Memphis, played his football at Kentucky, so probably knows Will Levis already.
He probably does. That might not have hurt him. Anything else going on there?
Well, interesting. We talked to Daniel Brunskill a little bit in the locker room, and he's been dealing with a high ankle sprain and trying to play through that. That's part of the reason I think that he didn't play all the snaps on Monday night with Calvin Throckmorton getting some action at right guard. But Brunskill says starting to feel better, so we'll see what the offensive line situation looks like. And then a bit of good news, George. Harold Landry was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after his 3-sack effort against the Dolphins, including
kidding.
the last takedown of Tua Tagovailoa that ended the game.
My guess is he's starting to feel better. Watson, I know, believed that he was not all that near the old Harold Landry when the season started. So I don't doubt that he's gotten a little bit better.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think, he looks like he's been playing a lot more actively over the last 2 or 3 games, getting more pressures on the quarterback and getting more back to being his old self. You would think that going into 2024, that would be a positive for them as they get ready to try to figure out what pieces fit and what pieces don't going forward for next year.
Terry, tell me about Gibbons. We were talking about him, a bunch of us, and somebody asked me where he went to school, and I didn't know.
He went to Minnesota for a little while, but he got there by way of Abilene Christian. He's one of the guys that's not practicing today. He's one of those kind of self-made guys, not the fastest guy, not the most athletic guy, but certainly smart, knows, how to be in the right spot at the right time, on a lot of plays. And I think, because he's such a smart player, but not an overly athletic player, I think Mike Vrabel kind of sees a little bit of himself in the way Jack Gibbons approaches the game.
I know he's a Vrabel favorite.
Yes, I think that's safe to say.
Okay. We'll call it a day. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place.
All right. Sounds good, George.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. Dial her up, 615-969-4350. To Murfreesboro we go. Kelly, what's going on?
What's up, George? How you doing?
Doing good. Hope you are.
I am. It's a nice day. I've got the weather report from you, so everything's right in the world.
Right. But, you were out and about earlier today. You should be able to see that without my weather update.
I know, but I just feel comfortable when you give it every day because you feel like you're Bill Hall. And, I'm good with that.
Wow. I don't know that Bill would have taken that as a compliment. I knew Bill.
He wouldn't. I'm sure he probably wouldn't have.
No, he was one of the all-time good human beings and an absolute staple of this city for years.
I remember watching him growing up in Vegas, man, in Fayetteville, and Bill Hall. He was always spot on. Technology's gotten so much different, but he always seemed like a good person.
Thank God for the technology. We needed it Saturday.
Absolutely.
Billy.
Yep.
How are you?
Good. Preds are good too, huh?
Darn tootin' they are.
Good win last night. Forsberg game-winning goal. UC Saros, 37 saves. Preds are now
He won them that game.
Sure did.
He stood on his head. In the first period alone, it could have been 4-0 Philly. He was terrific.
Yeah, they got Hurricanes on Friday night in Carolina.
That will not be easy.
No.
Carolina's really good, and then they come home Saturday for Washington. We're going to show it here in just a few minutes. The Predators have built up a little pad where not only are they not in the 8th spot anymore, they're in the 7 hole, and they are 4 and 5 points ahead of Arizona and St. Louis. So that's what this winning streak has done for them. How about that?
It's crazy to think about. Yeah. NFL, they have approved an international game in Brazil at Corinthians Arena for 2024. Plus, there could be as many as 8 international games in 2025. That's
whatever.
That's in addition to the Jaguars game.
Yeah, where we have to get up at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
you have to have a special code. I'm so damn sick and tired of all this. You know what? I keep hearing all this. Oh, they're going international. Like hell they are. There's not going to be a franchise anytime soon in London. Is there?
Well, I'm kind of in agreement with you on that, but you also said that me and you both and Billy, all three of us said that the Titans were going to get drubbed the other night. So we really don't know. That's really what it boils down to. They're trying, and they've been over to London so many times, and now they're going into Germany, and now they're going to Brazil. I did a Mexico City game when I played. So it's they're trying. I just don't see them getting a franchise in one of them foreign cities. It costs way too much money.
Yeah, the only one that seems to me that it could work is Mexico City.
Yeah.
Because
that wouldn't
it's
be
probably,
as bad as going over to Europe. I mean,
it's probably closer than Seattle.
Correct.
I'm interested. Brazil, I'm interested in because they're big soccer people over there.
Brazil.
Football, not football Americano.
Yeah, well, the NFL's not going to let you see any empty seats.
All I know is this: is when I was playing in the NFL Europe and they didn't like something, they started whistling. And I asked those people, I said, "What are they doing?" They said, "That's booing in America." And I said, "Well, they can whistle all they want to."
See if we hear any whistling. Also, NFL owners will vote today to award Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember the number. Which number is it?
Who cares? Make up one.
Whatever.
$7 million
to Los Angeles. The Super Bowl is now returning to Los Angeles in the year 2027. So you got that. Bill Belichick yesterday deflected multiple questions about his job status, repeating the same answer every time. I'm getting ready for Kansas City.
Okay, move on to Cincinnati. Tell you what we will do. Let's talk about that today because we've got a couple of slots open. Let's get into that.
Okay. College football.
So there
we go. 2024 SEC.
When asked about it, Bill said, excuse me, he said,
2024 SEC schedule reveal is tonight, 6:00. One was announced early, Georgia at Alabama.
Yeah.
Night game, ABC.
Georgia at Alabama, night game, when?
I don't know, some point next year. I didn't get the date there.
Well, now, wouldn't it help to know what date, Kelly?
Well, I'm really going to say something smart right now. And, Billy, you're really going to be mad at me when I say this. But if he would get in 5 minutes before the show, a little bit earlier than that, he'd probably know. You know what I'm saying?
Who cares?
At least he gave me the link today. At least I got the link, which is, it's
that's progress.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what was that you just said?
I said, who cares when it is?
Well, I would think if we're going
I agree
to
with you on that, Billy. I'm with you on that. Like, who cares? It's way down the road. We're still got a college football playoff we got to watch. That's next year, George. Let's move on to Cincinnati.
I don't like your attitude whatsoever.
Baseball, the Dodgers are in talks to acquire right-handed pitcher Tyler Glasnow in a trade with the Rays.
Screw the Dodgers.
They're winning it all next year.
Yeah, well.
And maybe the following year and the following year.
Well, and the year after that. And
you
the
know
year
what?
After that, George.
Hey, it ain't going to be that easy because let me tell you something. The Phillies are going to say, not so fast, my friend. And then a team to the south is going to say, maybe, maybe not.
Braves need to get their act together.
They do.
It's not all. I don't think it's all fine and dandy.
Tyler Glasnow has been rumored both in Atlanta and Tampa. I'll tell you something I'm hearing, though. The Braves at the winter meetings apparently told Clayton Kershaw, listen, if this unlimited pocketbook of LA's, runs out and money no longer grows, up on trees up here somewhere, that, we'd like to do an incentive-laden deal with you. It would serve the Dodgers right if the Braves shoved it up their butt and signed Clayton Kershaw.
Can't compete.
Merry Christmas.
When they're able to defer $68 million, I mean, how is that legal?
I don't know the legality part, but I'll say this. At some point, all that money is going to be due. And someday it's going to come home to roost.
I think
too much.
I think it's kind of a black eye on baseball, to be honest. The fact that you can do that, but the Dodgers have the advantage there. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's he's making less than the Dodgers' backup catcher. I heard yesterday, so I don't get it.
That contract is worth more than Atlanta's stadium. It is basically almost triple the amount of money our city spent on Nissan Stadium. I mean, think about that.
For one guy.
For one guy.
Also, George, by the way, Alabama, Georgia, in Tuscaloosa, September 28th.
Somebody send that to you?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Whoever it was, thank you. We'll make plans to be there.
Yeah.
Probably not. You think StubHub will do some business on that game?
Absolutely.
Good Lord.
A little bit.
They'll be raking it in. They'll give some NIL deals out.
Yep.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay. That was a good update.
Thanks.
Kelly, did you think it was a good update?
I did. I thought it was a good update. I mean, there was no silliness going on with Billy, and he was really professional today. I thought it went well.
There was some meat on the bone.
There was. I mean, sometimes he gives us stuff that has no meat on the bone, but that was I like that one. I mean, I could have gone on a little bit more. Billy, you got any more?
I don't. There wasn't as mean. Actually, there was a big NIL change, not NIL, transfer portal change today.
What are we now allowing teams to?
No, college
Hawaii.
athletes who are denied the chance to play immediately after transferring a second time can return to competition for now, after a federal judge issued a 2-week temporary restraining order against the NCAA. So that favors.
Hold on. What does that mean? Does that mean that if he goes in the transfer portal and nobody picks him up, that he can force the old school to take him back?
I really. That's why I didn't mention this because I don't know enough about it. But
hey, the old school can take them back, but I promise you this: coach has the red pen, and little Johnny is not playing anymore for that school.
They're putting him on the 5th team and having him run gassers.
Oh, sorry. As a matter of fact, you can't go over to Beasley Dorm either and get any more food. So sorry, little Johnny. Shouldn't have done what you did.
Little Johnny, you're on your own.
Correct.
Also, Greg Schiano received a contract extension through the 2030 season at Rutgers.
Okay.
His salary increases to $6.2 million next year.
That guy, Greg Schiano's got them boys at Rutgers playing well, son.
Thank you.
He's their all-time coaching wins leader. I don't know that they've had too many wins.
But
wow.
He's done well there.
He has.
This is stint number 2. They're considerably better than when he got there.
Well, I think it's also proving to a lot of the I'm not saying the Tennessee fans were wrong in not wanting Greg Schiano, but he's a good coach, and that's what people I think were trying to say.
Yeah. Okay, after the break, Mark McGee's going to join us. The Preds are as hot right now as any team in the National Hockey League, and as you will see later, what that has done for them in the standings has been remarkable. Please stick around. We got a good show for you. John McClain today at 3:20. We'll bat around the future of Bill Belichick. Plenty coming. Thanks for being with us.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to donleytimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Last night at Bridgestone, the Predators extended all this winning they've been doing. 18 seconds into overtime, they were able to find the net and beat the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2. We're about to show you the play. When you see it in a minute, notice that the goaltender isn't sure where the puck is, but apparently Philip Forsberg was certain of it. And watch how this played out at the end. And see, he sees that the puck, that the goaltender does not have real possession of it. I'm sure we're going to see this again in just a second. This poor guy has no idea where the puck is, but Forsberg does. Now watch what happens here. There's Forsberg, and he's about to let it fly. He sees that the puck is loose, and see, it's behind the goaltender, and he apparently knew it, and the goaltender was not totally certain of it. 3-2 Preds in kind of an improbable ending. With that in mind, we bring our man talking Predators, Mark McGee, to our microphones. Gee, how are you?
Thought we had Gee. Guess not.
Okay, we'll get Gee here in just a second. Kelly, they're as hot as anybody in the NHL right now.
Stuff that it takes a team a while when they've got a new coach coming in. They've got a bunch of new players to kind of gel together, and it looks like they're hitting their stride right now. And you even said it today, and we'll ask. I'm sure you'll ask it before I do because you always take my questions, that's how it happens. But
so,
you think they're going to go to the playoffs?
And the answer for me is I kind of do.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Gee is ready, so let's bring him in here. Gee, how are you?
I'm great. Couldn't hear you at all a couple minutes ago, so I hung up and called back. So.
Okay. Well, were you there last night?
Watched it on TV. What a great play by Forsberg at the end there. That's one of those nasty goals. I like those.
He knew the puck was not secure, and you could kind of see the goaltender was kind of 50-50 as to whether he had it or not.
Yeah, and Forsberg never slowed down. He was kept on going. Yeah, he knew that it was back behind him. It was a great play. One of the great. That's one of the things that makes hockey so much fun to play like that.
So, Guy, he's been on a roll here lately, and I don't pretend to know hockey well enough to answer this. Is there something about Andrew Brunette's system that is getting the best out of Forsberg?
Well, it's about getting the best out of that whole first line with Rick O'Reilly and Gus Nyquist. And those two guys, the way they're playing, are helping Forsberg as well. It's not just the system, but those three are really have a chemistry there, and that makes a big difference from that standpoint. They know where Forsberg is. Forsberg right now, he gets like 31 points. He's on the record. Right, he's on a trajectory right now to have a career season, which would be fantastic for the Predators. From that standpoint.
Absolutely.
But, I think it's a combination of the fact that Brunette's offense is much more wide open, and that they're shooting more, getting a chance to shoot more, and they're moving the puck so much better. Plus that chemistry of that line. That's one of the few lines that Andrew Brunette hadn't messed with a little bit, because that line is really playing well together. Of course, Nyquist gets the first goal last night, but no, I think it's a combination of the two. The chemistry of that line and Brunette's style of play, more offensive, more open, more aggressive from an offensive standpoint.
Guy, last night after the game, I went to NHL.com. I do this a lot to check the standings and see where they are. And you know it, they have started to build a little bit of a pad on Arizona and St. Louis, who right now would be number 8 and number 9. Billy, if you will, put those numbers up there. And right now, that doesn't really tell you what I hoped it would, but
they're 4 points behind the Avs right now for first place.
Yeah, so you've got Vegas at 45. The fact that they are 4 points out of the first place in this conference just blows my mind.
Well, the Central Division has been tight all year, but right now you got Avalanche at 36, the Stars at 35, the Jets at 34, and the Predators are at 32. Like I said, the Coyotes are dropped to have 27 points, and St. Louis is below that. And St. Louis fired Craig Berube as their coach today, so they're going to be having a coaching change, and they might get a little bit of an uptick at the beginning, kind of like the Wild got with John Hines. And Wild has now come back to the way it was, to their more of an even keel than what they were before Hines came in. Sometimes a new coach gives a team a bump, so the Blues might get a little bit of a bump with Berube's replacement coming in. So, the Predators are right there. I mean, they're as long as they're hanging close like this, it's great from that standpoint. Avalanche has had some issues, and of course the Jets, you never know what they're going to do, but they seem like they've calmed down a lot. The Stars seem to be right. The Stars are really now looking at probably being number 1 right now. They think they can maybe overtake the Avalanche, but the Predators are sticking with them, and they got a couple of games because they think got a game with the Stars here before the end of the year, and so that would be good from that standpoint to maybe knock them off a little bit, be a 4-point game for them if they can win something like that. So,
Guy, what people maybe are not appreciating, this kind of a run that has taken them from the bottom of the conference all the way into the playoffs, if the season stopped today, that doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And early in the year like this, especially, is a great thing to happen. But no, their last 10 games or so have been pretty strong. I mean, so of course they won 2 games now, and had a pretty. The Canadian trip was a split, but I thought they might have a shot against Toronto, but of course I wasn't surprised to beat Montreal. Most everybody beats Montreal right now. So, yeah, this is I think everything's gelling right now. I just like to see them continuously put 3 to 4 games together. It doesn't have to be a long streak, but every so often, win 3 or 4 or 5 games, maybe have a drop back, and then win another 3 or 4 or 5. It'll add up as the season goes along. We're over a third of the season done right now, so so we'll see what happens from that standpoint. I'm like you. I heard you earlier, just barely could hear it. But I'm like you. I think now you got to look at them as a playoff team. The league this year has been so strange. I mean, teams that you thought weren't going to do well or done well, like Philadelphia Flyers, for example, they came in winning 4 straight last night, and they weren't expected to do anything this year. Now they're like in second place in their division. So New York Islanders have come up. I mean, this Carolina Hurricanes, who the Predators play soon, have had a bad year, and it's really hard to tell what people are doing this time around. It's a strange season overall. So. As long as they can stay close like this, that's good.
I want to ask one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to Kelly. A couple of weeks ago, Tyson Barrie kind of put it out there that he wasn't very happy with his role. My gut feeling was that Barry Trotz probably was not real enamored with that. What do you think has gone on? Have they solved the issue, or is this something that's lurking right below the surface?
I think it's below the surface right now. And one thing that's really interesting that's come up is that during the Toronto and Montreal games, Edmonton Oilers assistant GM Brad Holland scouted the Predators in both games in person. And he wasn't looking at Tyson Barrie. He was looking at maybe Dante Fabreau, who's the perennial trade talk person, and also maybe looking at Colton Sissons, who showed up against Montreal with 2 goals. So I'm sure the Hall was impressed with that. So, of course, they'd love to have Saros, but they have made it plain now that Saros is not on the market. They don't want to hear more talk about it.
Okay. Kelly, what do you got for Gee?
Well, it's a little bit for both of you, too. Keep George up here, because I thought a couple of weeks ago, are we not talking about like maybe Saros being put on the trading blocks? Were we talking about that a couple of weeks ago? And now the dude had, how many saves did he have last night? And I mean, he may be one of the top goalies in the National Hockey League. So I mean, is that still going to happen or no?
Well, first of all, he won them the game last night. It could have been 4-0 Philly in the first period. He saved them from total destruction. Gee, take it from there.
I mean, they've said now he's definitely not on the market, so you don't have to worry about that anymore from that standpoint. So he has like a 935. He's 4-0-0 in his last 4 games with a 953 save percentage. Can't be much better than that.
So obviously it's because they're winning. I mean, if they would have gone on a losing streak, then obviously Saros would have probably been on the chopping block again. Not on the chopping block, but on the trading block.
Probably so. I mean, I think because he's a slow starter. We talked about that before, and his start was a little bit slower than normal. But he seems to take a while to get into a rhythm of how he wants to play. And last night he was outstanding. I mean, he made some really highlight reel saves last night, and it was such a nasty game. It was like the Broad Street Bullies that come back with the Flyers. I mean, it was all kinds of fighting, all kinds of penalties. It was an ugly game overall, and the power play was a real challenge for Saros, because as many times as the Flyers were on it. He played a strong game. Like George said, if it hadn't been for him, they certainly wouldn't have gotten to overtime.
Well, since we're talking about Saros, Gee, where do you rank him amongst the goalies in the National Hockey League?
Well, he's always been in the top 4 or 5. He's always been right there. So I mean, I've put him back there right now too. Goaltending's been a real issue in the league overall. There are a lot of teams that like to have a Saros as a goaltender. Early on, and people were thinking, well, is he as good as he used to be or whatever? But he obviously is back in form, and that would make him more attractive to teams. But like I said, the Predators pretty much said, nope, he's off. Hands are off on him. So
got you. So this I got you. So this is probably a stupid question, but a couple of weeks ago, we were going to do all these trades and we were going to put they were going in the grave, and then they've won a bunch of games so far. So how much of this is coaching? How much of this is just a team that is starting to come together and gelling?
It's coaching, but which has helped this team come together and gel from that standpoint. Michael McCarron last night, who had a fighter, I think had at least one fight in the game, and pretty much he's known for standing up. He's a fourth liner last night, and he scores a goal. And Andrew Brunette made a big deal about McCarron after the game last night, talking about what an energy guy he is, and even though he's only scored 4 goals this year, he's been healthy scratch for 10 games. And that's an interesting thing. He's been healthy scratch for 10 games, but yet when Brunette calls on him, he steps up and does well. He's a big energy guy in the locker room, and he's a battler for pucks, and he battles for his teammates like he did last night. This is what he's handled his team this year. He's got them believing not only in the team but in themselves. And even when it's not going well, Tomasino's an example of that too. When things aren't going well, these guys still believe in what Brunette's doing, even if it doesn't necessarily reflect positively on them at the time. When their number's called, they step up, and that's coaching right there that keeps those guys their psyches going. You know this as an athlete, to keep those psyches strong, even though they may not be doing, may not be getting the playing time they might want, or that type of thing. He's keeping them at an even keel, and that's I think it's a combination of coaching and the fact that they gelled because they finally have got Brunette's system. They believe in his system now. They moved up in the power play. They're like in the middle of the league now in the power play. They made a huge jump there, and Brunette's he is able to deal with these guys from a mental standpoint. I think that's the strongest part of the game as much as anything.
So Guy, kind of elaborate on that. Like, you're 29 games into the season, Andrew Brunette, this is his first year in Nashville as the manager. So, how do you assess his overall? What do you think he's done so far that's good? Something that's maybe not as good? Just kind of assess what he's done so far in Nashville.
He's lived up to expectations. He came in from the Panthers last year as an offensive mastermind, a guy who likes to play aggressive offensively, but also watches the defensive end. But offense is his big thing. He likes to shoot the puck. He likes to move the puck around. He likes the team to do that. And this team is doing it. They had to make a complete change around from the philosophy they had last year with John Hines, and that took a while to do. So from that standpoint, and the power play was a little disappointment because he's a power play expert. He's the power play guy. Their power play struggled for a while there, but now it's gradually moving up. They're now in the middle of the league in power plays, which is I think there's going to be upward trajectories that keeps on going now. But he has, like I said, he knows how to handle a team from a mental standpoint. He knows what to do with these guys, and even when things were bad, we were talking about trading guys, and I think it was 5-10 start the season. He kept these guys from just dumping the whole season and saying, "Well, we're done. We're never going to come back from this." I mean, he made them believe in his system and to believe in themselves. And I think those are two key things.
Okay, so this is purely speculation. We don't have a crystal ball about what's going on, but the Nashville Predators, I remember watching it on TV. They got to the Stanley Cup one time. Do you think this is the coach that can get them back to that prominence, getting up into the NHL and maybe winning a Stanley Cup?
Eventually, I think maybe. He drove the Panthers to the President's Trophy, I think, when he was with them. So, but I think that I may be wrong on that, but I think I'm right. But anyway, he's a strong coach. He knows what he's doing. You give him a chance to really make this team his team, which he's doing right now. Who knows what they can do? Are they a Stanley Cup contender this year? They're a playoff contender. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. So they are a playoff contender, and right now let's make the playoffs and then see what happens when the playoffs start. But yeah, I mean, I don't see them being in the Stanley Cup Finals this year, You talk about teams and woeful teams like that. I mean, the Oilers, the Oilers started out the season horribly, and they fired their coach. They've talked about trading half the team or whatever, and now they've won 8 in a row. It's just the way the league has gone. It's bizarre. I think overall it's just been a very unpredictable season in a lot of ways. So, I mean, but Andrew's got this team going.
Don't you think the other thing is that he has gotten rid of, whether you want to call it deadwood, like a Kyle Turris, or little problem children like Matt Duchene and or Ryan Johansson? Barry Trotz has cleaned the deck of all of that. Seems to me that's a big piece of this.
I think that's helped a lot, and he's given Brunette a lot of young players to work with, and Brunette's giving these young players, some confidence in themselves. From that standpoint, I think that makes a big difference. I mean, he's giving these kids believe they can play in the NHL and play well, and he's not afraid to experiment a little bit too, which maybe throws him off a little bit, because some guys get, like McCarron sit for 10 games, all of a sudden they're back in, things like that. He's done that to 2 or 3 players. And, he's moved around the lines other than the first line. He's done some line shifting around, defensive pairing shiftings as well. He's done a lot of experimentation, but I think that was more or less to get this team the way he wants it to be in his mold.
Kelly, here's the other thing that caught my eye last night. Most of their home games are going to be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's sort of the way over the years that they have structured their home schedule at Bridgestone. Tuesday night, if there is such a thing as a slow night, will normally be on a Tuesday night. Thursday normally will be better. Saturday, pretty much guaranteed to be sellout. Last night, right at capacity and very few empty seats. That tells me that fans are starting to figure this out, and they kind of like what they're seeing.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a very fan-friendly
thing. Sounds like they're doing well.
Go ahead, Guy.
So it sounds like it's a fan-friendly team. How can you not enjoy watching this team, and especially when they're winning? It makes it even better.
Well, they're doing something right, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that it continues. As always, thank you for the weekly visit.
Sure. Well, back-to-back challenge this weekend with Carolina and Washington. So.
Yeah, you'd probably take 2 points and never play it.
Yeah, probably so, yeah.
Talk to you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mark McGee joining us for his weekly visit. The Predators are on a good roll right now. We'll kind of keep our fingers crossed that it continues. After the break, a couple of questions that I don't know the answer to. Kelly might, then again, he might not, but we'll kind of throw them out there and then get into Bill Belichick. So stick around. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Okay, we're going to put Kelly Holcomb on the spot. He has no idea that this kind of question is coming. So here goes. Kelly, in the NFL, let's just say, and we're going to talk about Belichick to start the 3 o'clock hour, but let's just say that that he's out at the end of the year in New England.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Vrabel is still the head coach of the Titans at the end of the season. Yeah. Vrabel is a very popular figure up there. There will be a lot of yapping about Vrabel becoming the coach of the Patriots. And then I got to thinking, is the only way legally in NFL rules that can happen is for the Patriots to work a deal with the Titans for draft pick consideration?
Yeah, they can do that because I've heard of that being done. I forget the coach that it might have been for the Raiders a long time ago, but yeah, they can give you compensation. Normally that doesn't happen, but they can give, we think about players getting traded for other players or draft picks. But if you go after a coach, and I think all things are legal. I think, yeah, you can get some draft compensation, or you can get some players if you want to go after a coach that's under contract like that. So yes, I think you can. I can't remember the coach that did it. It was many years ago, but
John Gruden in Tampa. There was some stuff went on with Gruden in Tampa.
That's correct.
Here's where I'm going with this, Kelly. On the college level, it happens all the time. The coach at, Initech goes to, Xfinity, and you know what I'm saying.
Or the coach at Troy just got a new contract, and now he's going to Tulane.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
That's nice. Be careful what you wish for.
Correct.
That Tulane thing, you know what? Willie Fitz did a hell of a job there. But in the NFL, I cannot remember a coach who is a sitting head coach who suddenly ends up with another team as head coach?
Yeah,
I can't think of one.
I'm with you. I can't either. Normally, a guy gets canned, gets let go, and then somebody else picks him up. But yeah, I don't. I don't know of one, George. That's a good question, man. That's tough. I don't know of any.
If anybody thinks they know for sure, or you read something while we're on the air, feel free to send it to us. Billy, how do they send it?
Just fire in the comment section on the right side. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can type that in at the bottom. It's bottom right of the stream. We'll see it.
So here's what I believe is going on, and we're going to talk more about this in the 3:00 hour. I believe that this is Robert Kraft's worst nightmare. Yeah. I don't believe for a minute that Robert Kraft is dying to say to Bill Belichick, "We're firing you." Okay.
No.
What's the guy? The guy's been a part of, what is it? 6 world titles, 7 world titles.
Yeah, he's been to 6, and he's actually been to 9 with the Patriots. He won 6 of them. They got beat twice by the Giants and then once by the Eagles.
Okay. So clearly what he did in New England, we're never going to see again. On the pro level, we're never going to see it. But what's really interesting is if you think about it and you say, well, in Bill Belichick's heyday, there'll never be this conversation. Well, in the world we live in now, 3 years later after Brady leaves, or however long it's been, we're having that conversation. And so even the best of the best of the best, it could happen. Now, do I think this will ever happen to Nick Saban, where he has, 3 years in a row of going 4-7 at Alabama? Of course I don't. But if he went 4-7 3 years in a row, the talk would be out there, right?
There's no question. In our world today, it's win, and it's win at all costs. I mean, that's what programs want. And you're right. I think this is the worst nightmare for Bob Kraft, because this guy's meant so much to the New England Patriots. He's been there for so long. He's won so many games, and now they're just not very good. The Bailey Zappi kid went and got him a big win the other day. But I don't know if he's the future. There's not Tom Brady sitting out there right now. So he's going to have to go get somebody that he trusts. Obviously, they don't trust Mac Jones anymore. They've kind of sidelined him. And maybe he thought that he was the answer to that. Doesn't look like that's happened. But you know this, George, and I've said it on this program. If you don't have a guy that's the leader of your team at the quarterback position, you're not winning in the National Football League.
Not in this day and time.
Nope.
So, first of all, Scary Harry, thank you for what you've sent us. When the John Gruden trade went down, when he left Oakland to go to Tampa, Oakland received, and there it is,
there you go,
2002 and 2003 first round, 2002 and 2004 second round, and I'm guessing that's $8 million.
Yeah.
I don't think it's $8.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
If it is, I'd like to know how'd they come up with 8. Why not $7.99?
That's the only guy I can ever think of.
Yeah.
That's in that situation. I knew it was the Raiders. I just couldn't think it was. I forgot it was John Gruden. But that's because he, Tampa Bay wanted him so bad. Then he ended up winning a Super Bowl with the Bucks. But yeah, that normally does not happen, George. Like somebody's getting fired, and then somebody's going to interview for a job, and then the NFL is a good old boy league. Once you can get your foot in the door in that place, like Norv Turner made all his money with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and then he lived off that his whole career, and he made a really good living out of it. He was a head coach for Washington. He went and out at San Diego. I mean, that's how that league works, George.
Yeah. there appears to be a shelf life for a lot of them that one good job will get you two more before everybody says no mas.
Right. And then
Okay.
even that, they might go back to be if they're willing to go back and take a job just as a position coach, you still can stay in the National Football League for that.
After the break, we'll get into the Bill Belichick stuff. Then John McClain will join us right around 3:20 from Houston. So stick around. This is going to be a lot of fun. You're watching the George Plaster Show.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it's also, it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Top of the hour on a Wednesday. Time for Stat of the Day, brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for us today. We're going college football playoff. All right, this year is the 10th year of New Year's Six bowl games. Who is the only school to make a New Year's Six bowl every year since it was introduced?
Ooh.
It's a good one.
Okay, Kelly, let's eliminate Florida State because I don't think they're one of them. Bama did not make.
They didn't make it last year. What?
Well, but Sugar Bowl, that's considered one of the 6.
I mean, are we
You with me
overthinking
there?
that, or is it Bama?
Well, it seems like it's bound to be Bama. You want to go with that?
What about Clemson? Because they made the Orange Bowl last year. I know they've been down, but they still made the Orange Bowl last year and got beat by Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay, let's think about how far back did that go? Because when Clemson and Alabama played for the national title in the onside kick game.
What year was that?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. That's the problem.
Yeah,
10 years. Let's go. We're going to say either Alabama or Clemson.
It is Ohio State.
Ohio State. Wow. Wow.
I would have guessed. I probably would have guessed Clemson.
Wow, that's disappointing.
But it does go a little too far back to when it started. Clemson hadn't quite gotten to the peak yet, or all the way up there yet. But Ohio State still was
great
up there.
question.
That's disappointing.
That is, we should have nailed it.
Yeah.
We're in the 3:00 hour, and now we're going to get knee deep into some Bill Belichick conversation. Then John McClain will join us, the former Houston Chronicle great, who says he's retired but seems to be doing more than ever. And he'll join us at 3:20 this afternoon.
No one in sports ever retires, whether you cover them or you coach or you are never actually retired. I see that all the time.
Kelly looked like he retired.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm retired.
Except for Kelly.
Yeah. So, Kelly, feel free to butt in where you disagree. Okay?
Okay.
This is the Belichick world according to old Plasmo.
Okay.
I believe that Robert Kraft is losing sleep these days over what to do. The fan base is bitching up a storm. Quarterback situation is unbelievably murky. They believe that the decision to have Matt Patricia and Joe Judge be Mac Jones's offensive coordinator a year ago has ruined him. Now, I don't know if it's permanent ruin, but it certainly stunted a very promising rookie year. This was, by all accounts, Bill Belichick's dumbest move since he's been in New England. There's also another group out there going, wow, now that Brady isn't around, he doesn't win anymore. So is it Brady or is it Belichick? So all this stuff is swirling in the New England area. My belief is that Kraft would love to have it taken off his plate and Belichick walk in and just say, Bob, it's been great. It's just time. I don't think Kraft believes Belichick will ever do that. I personally don't think Belichick will ever do that. I think he is a football coach, and he will always be a football coach. And if he gets canned in New England, that he will end up somewhere else in the NFL for a 3 to 5 year period. Now, all of that said, Belichick has brought a little of it on himself. This whole Patriot way crap works if you win at the highest level.
Yeah.
Don't talk to anybody. Don't do any PR. Be a curmudgeon. It's all great if you go to the Super Bowl 6 times in 9 years. But when you become pedestrian, people use it against you. By the way, the Titans maybe ought to take note of that as well a little bit, because one thing that has come out of Frank Wycheck's passing is the feeling that, wow, what we used to have here when those guys got to town, we don't have that feeling anymore. That's one of the things that's come out this week that I believe wholeheartedly. Now, do you believe, Kelly, that this is absolutely wearing on Kraft, that he doesn't want to be the footnote? Here's the guy that fired Belichick.
I do believe that. I think he's obviously got a personal relationship with Bill Belichick. I don't know, I've never been there, so I don't know how warmy or homey it is. I don't know that. But I think he is losing sleep over that because that guy's meant so much. I just said it before we went to the break. He's meant so much. He's been to 9 Super Bowls, won 6 of them. He's done a lot of winning there, and I just think that I think he probably is losing sleep over that because I don't think he wants to be that guy. But it obviously boils down to business decision, though. I mean, if you're not winning games and you're as bad as they are right now, I mean, they've won that division how many years in a row? It was like crazy amount, like 14, 15 years in a row that nobody even challenged them. And I just the business all comes down to winning, and at some point everything comes to an end. You know that, George. And it's just like when you got these quarterbacks like a Brett Favre or like a Joe Montana or like a John Elway or Peyton. Like, you don't want those guys to keep playing. Like I felt as though when Brady went to Tampa, it was that deal. Like, if Brady's on the team, Brady's going to play, whether Brady's playing terrible, whether he's playing great. He's going to be the starting quarterback. And you just pray as a head coach that the guy that is a first ballot Hall of Famer that has won 7 Super Bowls, you hope he does not start playing bad and start showing his age where you have to make that decision, because you definitely do not want that thrown in your lap about, well, he's the guy that benched Tom Brady or he's the guy that benched Peyton Manning. You just don't want that. It's the same thing for Robert Kraft right now. He doesn't want to go down that path. And I'm sure that he hopes if it gets any worse, that just like you said earlier and you alluded to earlier, he would just come into his office and say, you know what, enough is enough. I've done as much as I can here. I'm going to step off into the sunset and I'm going to go about my life.
Okay, Belichick is a very hard read. It's not like he comes into press conferences and bears his soul. So do you think that this is getting to him at all? Does he think about this? Does it bother him? Or is he simply trained to go, we're on to Cincinnati?
I think he's one of those guys he enjoys the process. He enjoys getting up every day, going into work, getting on the elliptical, looking over his notes, going to the team meetings, getting involved, like formulating a game plan. I think he's into that process. I think he likes that. I don't think he likes where they're at right now, but he's had such success there that I think that he may think that this is just a stumbling block, and if we keep working, we keep going about our business, our fortunes are going to change. I don't know how he feels either, George. I'm with you. I think he might be on the other hand of saying, thinking to himself, man, I cannot wait till this is over this year where I can just hang up my saddle and I can go on about my business. I think he's one of them guys, and you would probably never hear of him again. I don't know how he thinks, but I think he enjoys the process. Even though they're losing, I think that he probably thinks in his mind he can get this thing turned around. And when you talked about Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, I think that he's won so many games that he thought that he could make that work. And maybe that's egotistical, but I think really deep down he thought he could make it work, and he could have that stopgap where he could get a Bill O'Brien there the next year. I really think that he thought that.
Yeah. So if Kraft at the end of the season were to walk in and say, Bill, this is it. Okay, it's slipped to a point where I don't have any choice. And even though this is the last thing in the world I want to do, I'm doing it. Do you think another team would then reach out and want to hire Belichick?
I think so, yeah. I think he's had so much success. But I remember saying this a couple of weeks ago too, George. Like, it seems like now that Brady's gone, and now that they're losing like they're losing, they're last in the division. I think that Brady was the one that kind of kept the Patriot way going. I told you that I've had teammates that went up there and they would all say, "Hey, if you do your job," he's big on doing your job. If you do your job, you're not going to have any problems with it. And then I've had teammates go up there and it's like, that was the worst thing. Like, I contemplated why I ever played football coming here. I've had people say that to me.
Sure.
So, I mean, you just talked about it. Like, winning takes care of a lot of stuff. And if you know that you've got an opportunity to win a Super Bowl each and every year, you're going to get free agents. You're going to get the junior Sayas. You're going to get the Randy Mosses. You're going to get all those guys. And Randy Moss has even talked about, hey, I love playing for Bill Belichick, but he loved playing for Bill Belichick because he had Tom Brady, and Tom Brady got him the ball.
Sure.
Let's be honest about that. So the Patriot way is hard, especially when you got these young guys coming up. They've been in the transfer portal. They're making money in the NIL. They're doing all that. Well, when you've got a guy that is a head coach, it's a taskmaster, and I'm not saying all of them are taskmasters to some degree, but when you've got a taskmaster like Bill Belichick, that I've heard from teammates that do the kind of things he does, if you're not winning, it's hard to go there. It's hard to get free agents to come in there and want to come there. Now, if you drop the Wells Fargo truck off at their front door, doesn't matter. I mean, they're getting paid, but that's a hard deal to go into work every day when you're not winning, and it's the Patriot way. And you know that these owners are going to do their due process, and they're going to contemplate that, and they're going to say, hey, if this doesn't work, man, we're going to have a hard time getting people to come to work and getting people to come here in free agency.
Okay, you're giving great answers. Who knows whether they're true or not? There's no way to know. But here's a last one. This one's a bomb. You ready?
Yeah.
So, privately, Brady has done incredible PR. He never said to us, I'm leaving New England because I am tired of this old man, this curmudgeon. He makes it miserable. He never went there. Behind closed doors, is Tom Brady laughing his butt off at the way this is turning out?
I mean, I don't know if he's laughing his butt off, because I think his heart, his whole life was in New England before he left. I think he probably left because I think he wanted people to know that I can win without Bill Belichick. And he did. He won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. I mean, he had a really good team, and he weighed all that out. I don't think he's laughing. I don't think I've heard some things about, that, I'm not going to put that on air, but I've heard some things about, he said things and to some of my friends, and I don't think he's going to laugh at it. I really don't, because I think he's got a soft spot in his heart for the New England Patriots and New England Patriots fans. I think he probably is upset at the way it's gone about, but I think he probably thinks, I told you so, man. I kept this thing on the track for a long time. And now that I've gone, I mean, you can obviously see, I mean, you can't, man, I've heard people talk about how, other coaches play checkers, and when you go to the Patriots, he plays chess. I've heard that from many folks, and I think that's correct. You cannot contemplate anything about his coaching, because he's probably the greatest coach maybe to ever coach in the National Football League. Now he's still behind Don Shula and all that, but like in today's modern football, what he did with those guys is unprecedented.
You'll never see again.
I don't think it'll ever happen again. You're absolutely right. So I don't know. I think he has a soft spot in his heart for the Patriots. I do think he probably thinks, he probably says, well, I'm gone. I kind of kept that thing on the rails for a long time, and now you're seeing where it's going. But, I think the New England Patriots will be back. You've got to have a quarterback, George. And right now, there's too many questions, and Mac Jones might have been the answer, but like you said, he gave him Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And when you've got two guys doing that, You don't really have one. It's like when I still don't see how Steve Spurrier did the 2 quarterback deal, because when you've got 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have one, but the dude made it work.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just think that took a lot out of Mac Jones, and I think his confidence is shaken. I still think the guy's a really good football player, and he won a national championship at Alabama, but right now it's just not going for Bill.
After the break, the legendary, the great John McClain, who says he's retired, but it doesn't seem like it. He will join us after the break from Houston, Texas.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. You know, with Frank Wycheck's passing, when the news came out on Sunday, for me, it just started a flood of memories of John McClain, of Nick the Stick Hunter, of the late Rick Regan. There were a cast of characters around what we were doing for about a 20, 30-year period. Nobody has ever been more blessed than I've been. And certainly Frank was right in the middle of all that as well. It was like a perfect storm coming together in a city that all of a sudden was starting to take sports very seriously. So I reached out to John earlier today to see if he'd come on with us, and he was gracious enough to do that, and he joins us from Houston, Texas. John, how are you?
It doesn't take any graciousness to come on to the George Plaster Show. I'm happy to do it.
Well, I'm thrilled that you feel that way. Thank you.
If I were doing any better, it'd be illegal.
So you've had to have had some of these same thoughts as you heard this, because all of a sudden it was like a snap of a finger and John McClain became household stuff in the city he didn't even live in. I mean, that some of that had to cross your mind.
Well, that's because of you. And I've told the story.
It didn't all
I'll
because
tell
of
it
me.
again. First train practice at training camp when the Oilers moved up there for the 1997 season, and we were over at Tennessee State, and there was media from all over that part of the country. Every outlet from Houston was there.
Yeah.
Vengeance, angry because Nashville had stolen our team. And I remember you put me on the air. You were in the stands.
Yes.
Set up, and I came up there and did the show with you. And then I remember I was in Tampa to do a Buccaneers game, and I was walking into the Marriott Hotel, and you called, and you said, I want to talk to you about doing a weekly show. And I was trying to be polite, and I'm like, I'm about to say, yeah, but, and you said, and we'll pay. I said, I'm in. And I was in, and you were very generous, and I've had a blast, and I've met so many great people up there. You know, I told you the story when you called me today about Kelly Holcomb and that great game that he had against the Steelers, 429 yards, best passing performance I've seen in a playoff loss. And then how I remember going to the Browns during training camp, going in the locker room to do some interviews because I was covering the NFL then. And I remember going up to Kelly, introducing myself. He said, I know who you are. You're on with George Plaster. And I thought, wow, George's influence extends to Cleveland. And then I saw Kelly at the funeral service for Bob Hyde at Nissan Stadium. It was great to see him and a lot of other people. I'm sorry that had to be for those circumstances. And so I have a lot of great memories about you and being up there, besides the fact that you paid me. And it was a blast. And I'll never forget the Oilers were playing the Redskins in a game at UT, preseason game. And you had Steve McNair coming from Alcorn. He's Schuler, had been the first round pick for the Redskins the year before. So they had the game at in Knoxville, and they wanted to have joint practices. So they went to Maryville, and we're watching the Oilers and the Redskins practice. And I was sitting with Charlie Casserly, the general manager of the Redskins, who would be the Texans' first general manager. And we were talking about different players. And because my wife, Carol, grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, diehard Redskins fan, I had to get as much info from Charlie as I could because she was going to want me to report back about every player that I could get info on. And we're watching a guy make a couple of good catches, make a couple of good blocks, knock people on their butt. And I said, who's that? And he said, and I didn't know the first name. I remember he said some kind of last name, Wychuk, something like that. Yeah. And I said, that guy looks pretty good. He said, well, he's been here and we like him. We tried to move him to fullback. That's not his position. He's more of an H-back. He's a really good receiver, very smart and good route runner. And so I remember talking to Floyd Reese. He said, yeah, I noticed that kid. He said, he's looked good. Well, the Redskins cut him for whatever reason, and they always regretted it. And Floyd Reese jumped all over him, and the rest is history. In his first 2 years here, you know, he got here in same year as he got here the same year as 95 Steve McNair, and he is here 2 years. And even though Steve only started 6 games, Chris Chandler, they had a veteran team. Jeff Fisher's first full year as head coach was 95. And Steve had signed a 7-year contract, so they could afford to bring him along slowly. And he started 6 games, but Frank was kind of a safety valve for him when he did play. And when he started, and then when he got to Nashville and became the full-time starter, he and Frank had a great on-field rapport, and mainly because Steve knew in every difficult situation, every third down situation, that when he needed 5, Frank would be there to get 5. If he needed 8, Frank would get 8. So Frank was very reliable, and he did a really good job helping Steve develop off the field. And I'm talking about in the classroom, in the locker rooms, Steve was learning to be a pro. And he was learning a pro offense under Jerry Rome, who was offensive coordinator under Jeff Fisher. So he played an instrumental role in Steve McNair's career, and they had some great times together.
John, in the background, I'm thinking of the plaster Mount Rushmore of people who knew how to kiss babies, shake hands, take pictures. I used to think C.M. Newton was the one and only on my Mount Rushmore. Then you and Frank Wycheck came along to be 2 and 3 on that Mount Rushmore. And I got to tell you one other thing. And I don't know if you were you ever in town when we did the radiothon that ultimately would have people signing up for the McClain dinners?
I was first time you had me do it on the phone, and that's when you asked me if I would do it for like a few minutes. And I said, sure. And then you said, well, can you do it after the break? Sure. Can you do it after this break? Sure. I think I ended up staying on with you like 2 hours.
Right.
And you liked my line about give it to George or give it to the government. And at least you know where it's going. It's going for a good cause. And then other years, y'all flew me up there, and I was a part of it. And one of the things I liked so much was meeting so many people. And Frank was that way. Frank was genuine. He didn't do it because he's going to run for office. He did it because he liked meeting people. He was just a naturally nice guy off the football field. And when we had those dinners, Charles Davis dinners, we did 13 years in a row at the Lowe's. Gosh. Frank did it a bunch of years. We had Jeff Fisher came every year. We had Jim Schwartz 8 years, Steve Watterson, Eddie George, Steve McNair, Bruce Matthews. So many of them participated in that for a great cause, Charles Davis Foundation. And so Frank, all I had to do was make one call, and he was in. And when he came, one of the things I asked him to do was to line up and have their picture made with every person.
Oh, yes.
And every time somebody stepped up, Jeff and Watterson and Schwartz and all those guys acted like every one of them was the most important. And I've never seen anybody better at that than Frank. And as I think I've said before, if Frank decided he had wanted to run for mayor in Nashville, the other politicians should have just backed away.
He'd have won it. Yes. Bring Kelly up here for a minute. So, Kelly, that's the pleasant story.
What's up, John? How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I apologize that you know George like you do, man. I'm sorry. I know that he paid you and you had to be around him, but I apologize for
That's
that.
the only reason I would have done it. He offered me an unprecedented, I think it was like $100,000 a year. I said, can you do 200?
Sure it was.
Sure. I'll say, I'll take it. $200,000 a year.
So George's parents,
I'm waiting for that deferred money. Hopefully I'll get it before Shohei.
George's parents, when he was little, they had to pay some kids around the neighborhood to play with him. So that's kind of how that goes,
So, Kelly, one of the years at the Radiothon, we would always do it at Ferguson Bath Kitchen and Lighting Gallery, free plug. And one year early on, it wasn't going particularly well. And I've got a panel of people who are kind of helping me in the broadcast, some of whom are real instigators. The late Rick Region, the late Nick Hunter. And they are up my butt. Things are a little slow early, and they keep giving me all this. You need to give out the phone number. You need to give it. Just on and on. It was driving me crazy. And they got on my last nerve. And finally, I said, to hell with it. I said, you two think you're so damn good at this, You take over running it, and I'm going to go sit in that tub. Well, Nick Hunter gets on, and he goes, for all of you who are sick and tired of George, call in now. And the switchboard blew up. It was absolutely hilarious. And it was really what I was hoping would happen, was that Nick would pull some magic of his. Now, you talk about another character, John. Nick Hunter was a piece of work.
He sure was. Kelly, I got another story for you. While I was up there one time, I said, for this first Charles Davis Foundation dinner, I said, it's sold out, but if any of you want to come by afterward, we'll get something going, and we'll, whatever money you can afford there at the Gaylord, we'll donate it to the charity. And one guy called in. I said, George and I'll do the dinner. And the guy called in and said, I'll give you $500 if you leave George at home.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Do you remember that, George?
I wish I could meet him.
I do. That's hilarious. We don't really need George. John, if you'll come, that'd be great. Leave George at home. So, Kelly, I know we haven't gotten to a lot of football, and I've hogged it with memories, but go ahead. You got a couple.
I don't know if I'm really going to get into football. Here's my thing, and I presented this months and months and months ago when I first came on the show, John, but it's obviously awful what happened to Frank, and everybody George was his friend. Everybody kind of heard him on the radio. They knew he had some cognitive problems, some cognitive issues. You've got guys like Dave Duerson, who took his own life, and Junior Seau. And I'm not trying to be morbid about this, but just what are your thoughts? Because I've talked with my college coaches about this before, and I'm kind of worried about the state of football at all levels because you look at the numbers. And high school kids, their mamas and daddies are not letting high school kids play like they used to play. I mean, that's just something I can remember when I was growing up in Fayetteville, and you wanted to be a Lincoln County Falcon. Everybody wanted to do that. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. Do you? I know that the money that's being made in the in the NCAA with football, the money that's being made in the National Football League, but where do you see this going? Because I'm just worried about it. I'm worried about all the concussions, and I had some too. But I told people I would still go back and do it the same way. So, what are your thoughts on the state of just football in general?
It's the greatest game. It's the more popular than it's ever been. There's higher TV ratings, online ratings, everything. Gambling is putting $100 million in the owners' pockets over a 5 to 10 year period. That's why they're going around the world. It's not for the memorabilia. It's because people around the world have been gambling legally a lot longer than we have over here. And so remember when the movie Concussion came out with Will Smith, there was so many people that said that was going to be the ruination of football, and it came and went. And that's before it exploded financially the way it is now. I spent a lot of time here with the Oilers, who I covered for 20 years before they moved to Nashville. And a lot of like Kenny Houston's 84 years old, and I'm around him a lot. His body's failing him, but his mind's sharp as can be. Dan Pastorini, 31 operations, multiple concussions. He's as sharp as he can be at 75. So the Dave Duersons and the Junior Seaus, they're in the minority. Now, what could really hurt the NFL is if they get the test that you can only do now when they're dead. If they ever get the CTE test where you can take it while you're playing and they say, okay, you're headed, we've got proof here that your brain is headed for a disaster. I don't know what they would do because there's so much money at stake for them. I always tell high school kids, plan on going to college, don't plan on playing football. The odds are stacked against you to play in the NFL. There are a lot of opportunities today, but I have not seen any of it deterred here and in Texas. And I talked to a lot of people. I read, I listen, because I wondered, would it cut back? They've worked so hard to try to do things for concussions. You know, when you played, if you got knocked out, they'd hold a finger up, so 2 fingers, say, how many am I holding up? 2. Okay, get back in. But now the independent neurologist, C.J. Stroud's got a concussion. He's not going to play. His head hit the ground as he was hit after throwing a completion. And so he walked off the field fine. He went in, got the test, and he's out. He's not out there. He's got to pass all those tests. We're hoping he only misses one game. But anytime a guy goes out, they err on the side of caution. Now, Brock Purdy earlier in the season, he got a concussion on a Monday night and came back Sunday. Derek Carr 2 weeks ago got a concussion on Sunday and came back, but they're rare. And they have those helmets they have them wear in training camp that look like beehives, and the players don't like them because it doesn't look good, but it's designed to help them. And someday, I don't know what they'll come up with, Kelly, because you can't keep the brain from sloshing around in your head no matter what you wear, but everybody thinks it's worth the risk. And all those old Oilers I ask, would you do it? They're just what you said. I'd do it the same way. I wish I had been born a little later so I'd had a shot at all that money.
That's right. Hey, that's a great answer. That's kind of what I want to hear, and I would do it all over again. So let me go this way. So watching the National Football League, and I've talked to George and to Billy about it, but I am so sick of all the flags. I know the competition committee meets all the time, and I know they got these things that they want to emphasize, but it just seems to me like the flags are just wearing me out. And I'm sure that fans are getting upset with it too, because every time you have a kickoff or every time you have a punt, you always get a good return, and then there's a flag. There's something
blocking in the back.
Yes, it's unbelievable. Like, when are we going to just let the guys and just call a few? Like, you can call holding on every play. I get it. Like, and this goes back to what we saw the other night with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why Patrick Mahomes was so upset. I can understand that. The guy was offsides, but you've got to be consistent, and it just doesn't seem like the refereeing is consistent now.
I think of the pressure that these guys are under. There's two things that are out there that I think will be adopted soon. Number one, the eye in the sky. You got a guy up there, he's got his high definition big screen TVs, and he can be in New York. It doesn't matter where he is, but he was watching. He's not looking for holding on every play, but he sees a thing like Kadarius Toney, who's an idiot. The dumbest play in sports is when you don't line up, when all you got to do is look at the ball. Anytime a Texan's in the neutral zone, I'll rip the heck out of them, go say they're brain dead on Twitter, because it's inexcusable not to line up on side. Jumping's one thing, but lining up is basic 101 football. And so the judge can call down there and say, pick up the flag. And that was not interference. Or there were some blatant interference calls this year that weren't flagged. He can say, throw the flag. And the other thing, Kelly, is this. Bill Belichick has proposed for years, and I agree with this 100%. Let us challenge anything. You don't increase the challenges. It's not going to change the length of the game. Just give us the option of challenging whatever we want. And that makes so much sense. I don't know why they don't do it. He's not asking for extra challenges, just to be able to challenge anything that comes up that's controversial. And probably what they'll do first is put it in the last 2 minutes of the half in the game, see how that works. But we're getting there. I think it'd be a smart thing, and I don't know why the owners want to prove it. Maybe because too many of them can't understand it.
And this will be my last thing, John. It's awesome talking to you. I could sit here and talk for hours, but they've got all these rules now in place, and I would have loved to have played because I used to get killed. But they've got all these rules now in place for the quarterbacks, trying to protect them. But it seems like each year we're getting more and more quarterbacks hurt. Like, what can they do? I understand it's a new age of all these guys. And at some point, I talked to Tom Moore, and I still talk to him quite a bit. And he told me, he said, Kelly, you know how many guys were hurt last year in the National Football League at the quarterback position? I'm like, no. And he's like, 65 of them had to play. He's like, they better learn how to protect these quarterbacks. And that's true. But it seems like all these rules that they're coming about are trying to protect the most sought after, the most paid, the biggest paid guys in the National Football League, but it's not helping. Is there anything else they can do?
There is, and one of them's out of their hands. Colleges don't play offensive linemen the way they did when you play. They don't block much. They just get their hands out, boom, the ball comes out. They're about speed. And so they don't get to fire off and run block. They're retreating so much. And then when they get to the NFL, and this is something Andrew Whitworth did on a podcast I listened to, as he points out, the union has tried really hard to get players to have a lot of time off. Offensive linemen need time together on the field where you can put on pads and hit and communicate and learn to do that more than any other position. And the other thing is that Whitworth pointed out, when you get drafted, say you're a left tackle and you want to come in and start working with your coaches. Nope, can't do it. You can work out, but you can't talk to your coach at all because you have to wait till OTAs or the rookie mini camp. And that's time wasted. If a player wants to go in there and start learning with the coach, he should be able to do it. But the reason is the union says all the coaches would demand they come in and work 20 hours, and it's not fair. But I think the fact that offensive lines, besides injuries, and I think a lot of those injuries come from inactivity. Inactivity, once you can't put on pads in the off season, they barely hit in training camp anymore, that the offensive lines are not as good and they don't get the time together to form a cohesiveness, stability. And there's not as many good offensive line coaches, but I think quarterbacks are getting hurt more because they're just not getting the kind of play they need up front that would come with more time with the coaches, more time on the field.
John, give me go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I was going to say something because I remember talking to Bruce. I went out to Arizona a couple of years ago when he was the head coach. Sorry, I'm going to go into something else. But they've only got 14 padded practices during the season, John. So, it's kind of alluding to what you're saying. Like, there's not enough. Like, this is a physical, violent game. We understand that. We're kind of like gladiators, modern-day gladiators. But you have to be willing to put guys through practice, and they got to be willing to hit. But when you're getting them only 14 days of practice throughout the whole year of full pads, I mean, that's kind of putting these guys at a disadvantage, don't you think?
Absolutely. The more work they get, the better off they are, whether it's mental or physical. If colleges played where they had to be really good at run blocking and pass protection, and it wasn't all about speed, it would be better. And I don't know what the answer is. Another one was, okay, aside from the salary cap, give teams more money for backup quarterbacks so they don't just take off and bounce around the league like they're in a transfer portal. Give those guys enough where they're happy at one spot, and then if they have to play, they're familiar with the system. It's amazing what Joe Flacco's doing with your old team. He's on the sofa 2 weeks ago. Now he's got, I think, 5 touchdown passes in 2 games. He's better than Deshaun Watson, making $230 million guaranteed. And you got guys like Jake Browning and now Tommy DeVito that are incredible success stories. But more often than not, those backup quarterbacks are struggling big time. And I always liked NFL Europe as a farm system. I wish every team had a farm system in which they could play the same system as the big team with similar coaches and be ready to step right in. But that's not going to happen because it costs too much money.
John, real quickly before we say goodbye, are the Titans headed to wearing the old Oiler uniforms for real?
No, they wouldn't do that because fans like it. And down here, fans are having a fit, of course, to see that Columbia blue again. But, that would go against the heritage of the Titans. A lot of people up there feel like they were an expansion team in '99 when they changed from Oilers to Titans, got the new facility and the new stadium, went to the Super Bowl as the Titans. I think it's throwback. I think they do it a couple times a year. I think it's great. A lot of people, all the old Oilers love it. So I love it because they love it. I watched it for 20 years, but the fans down here and a lot of members of the media, they are incredulous. And I said, why? Those colors belong to the Titans, not Houston.
Can't thank you enough for coming on, man.
It's my pleasure. Kelly, great talking to you again. George, anytime you need me, I'm available. I always love talking with you. Hope you guys have a great Christmas and a great holiday.
Same to you and your family, John. Great having you on. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
John McClain, he truly is the best. From his days with the Houston Chronicle, he says he's retired, but I don't know how you can tell. Man, he is out there everywhere. So is this guy. Dale Roble runs Last Minute Toy Store. And on Friday, our show will originate from the real Last Minute Toy Store. What goes on when people come in and shop for their kids. And the big reason I want to do it, Dale, I want people to see what it is I feel.
Yeah, I mean, George, it is one of those things that seeing is believing. And I've told people for years, if you just come out to the Last Minute Toy Store, we'll take you on a tour and show you around, and it really wouldn't take that long. But anyone that we do that with is usually sold on what is happening. And right now, I think we have somewhere around we have over 7,500 children signed up, and we're going to
that will get toys because of this charity.
That's correct. And we'll do it. That'll happen between Friday and Sunday. Sunday's really a half a day. So literally we will have about 100 plus family shopping per half hour. So that would be mom, dad, parent, guardian. And one of our values is they pick out their gifts for themselves. We don't dump them on them. And they go home and celebrate Christmas, however they celebrate Christmas. It's from mom, dad, grandma, Santa Claus, whatever. And that way, our value is every child deserves to have a great Christmas and not to be that child that shows up at school when he gets back and, hey, I didn't have a very Merry Christmas. So that's really what our value is. But we've got 7,500 plus children ready to roll. And now our job is to fulfill all of that and make it happen.
Okay. Friday, before we go on the air, I'll be volunteering.
Yes, you will.
And it's an incredible experience. If somebody is out there watching this, whether it's live or later today, tonight, tomorrow, and they say, wait a minute, I need something to get in the Christmas spirit. I want to do this. So what do they need to do to have that happen?
They need to go to lastminutetoystore.com and they need to sign up. I mean, right now we have openings for, I'll tell you, a big opening that we have right now are people that will help our guests, the people that are in need in Nashville, moms, dads, parents, guardians, to pick out their bikes, their books, and their sporting goods. So they will literally be going with them as they do that process and then help loading them into our shuttles as we leave. And we probably have 40 slots available. I think we have over 300 volunteers, unique volunteers per day. It takes 1,000 volunteers to do this. We even provide lunch. I mean, Losers Most Wanted and Steve Ford and those guys provide lunch to 1,000 plus people. It's incredible. But Uncle Bud's provided it. We've had chick salad, you name it, people just coming in, and it's a community thing, but they can go on there and they can sport it that way. Another way is you can go out and buy toys, buy something that you would want. I know we take you shopping most every year, and George is literally like a kid in a candy store.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting what he picks, and Billy, it's really interesting what he avoids. But you
mentioned books, sporting goods. I don't think the books are
the books. He's got nothing.
It avoids anything that needs a brain
or instructions.
Yeah, you got that right.
Instructions. He's gone. So but you can go out and buy those gifts multiple ways. You can go to Amazon; they deliver right to our door. You can go shop for yourself. We have a drive-through there, Catfish Jake, and some of those. We have a whole team that sits out there all day long, every day until the night, and they will take those out of your car, give you a receipt, send you on your way. But again, Last Minute Toy Store is an all-volunteer organization. I'm not paid. No one's paid. We have 0 paid staff. It is truly a labor of love by businesses, community stars. I mean, we got a call from a celebrity star today that we're sending 10 pallets of toys in, and that's pretty incredible. When they say pallet, we're talking forklift. So
we're talking big
forklift
stuff.
Gaylord pallets. So, and we have that a lot. And the toys from Sunday, you give it Toys for Tots, and they usually direct them straight over to us to help us continue to make this machine roll. So it's a blessing, and you're a blessing, George. Billy is too, and Billy's the real celebrity
Billy's
here.
not a blessing.
He's a celebrity, George.
Not a blessing. Where is the actual event? Where is it that people go, volunteers go, This is a pretty amazing story.
It is. So 5113 Harding Place. You get off I-24 in Harding, you'll see our signs everywhere. But you're going to go, when you get off of Harding at I-24, you're going to go past Sam's Wholesale Club, goes underneath. It's a big red, what we call Christmas red building. It's the Davidson County Sheriff's Office Services Center. You will see Davidson County Sheriff's officers everywhere.
Oh, they're fabulous.
And it's as safe as it can be. So we even shuttle all of our guests around, and, the bus stop, if we have people that need to take the bus in, the bus stop's right there in our driveway. But 5113 Harding Place, Nashville, Tennessee is where it goes down.
From 10 years ago, what you and your family and your church have done to, I don't want to use the word modernize it, but to take it to a next level is just, you couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
If you saw the beginnings of this in that little church on Charlotte and what it has become now, man, this guy and his family and this team, it'll blow your mind. It's incredible.
I would say that Pastor Paul Slint, some of those guys who I volunteered with, his legacy continues on through this. Really, this is a ministry, and it's why we do it. I'm a pastor as well, but our value is that no child should feel left behind or unnoticed, especially at Christmas. Are we changing the world? No, but are we changing thousands of young people's Christmas? Absolutely. So it is
changing Nashville, Middle Tennessee.
It is, and really, it's an answer to a lot of prayers, and it's a lot of work. I'm not going to kid you, but it's a blessing. And George, you've been a blessing to the Last Minute Toy Store. This guy's raised tens of thousands of dollars for us over the years, and he's
bowling for gutters.
He's bowled a lot of gutter balls to do this, but you know what? It's you mean a lot to the Last Minute Toy Store. Your viewers mean a lot to us. Billy, you mean a lot to us. And
Billy,
we appreciate all of you.
Don't tell him that. He'll want to raise. What about Kelly? Bring Kelly up.
Kelly comes too.
Look at him.
I don't know. I haven't checked his score.
Does that look like a guy with a heart?
Did he bowl 299? Is he the guy?
Dale, you know what I think? I think when George goes into the Last Minute Toy Store, I don't even know if they have Mr. Potato Heads, but I can see him going after that.
I could, but I don't think he'd get it together.
Oh, gosh. Why do we
He's
put
got
him
Mr.
on?
Potato Head all over him.
Right.
Why do we put him on? Shut him off. Hey, we're done for today. Can't wait for Friday. Really excited to be able to show people what it is I've been yapping about. You all will get a lot better sense as you watch this, and it'll blow your mind. It absolutely will.
It will. And thank you so much, George.
Thanks
Kelly,
for coming over.
Thank
here.
you for always being a part of the bowling event, and Watson and everybody else. But
Yes,
God
sir.
bless you guys, and we love you all. And thank you for helping us help thousands of kids every year.
Absolutely. We're excited about it. We're done for today. Kelly, try to behave between now and tomorrow.
Go pick up a Mr. Potato Head, George.
Improve your attitude. It's
I'll
Christmas
make sure.
time.
I'll make sure.
Quit being a curmudgeon. Billy, you behave as well. See you tomorrow.